It is 5:01, and I'd like to call this meeting of the Beaufort County Board of Education Academic Committee to order. This is a remote hybrid conference meeting, and request for public comments participation was accepted between 4 and 4:30 by sending an email with the name, phone number, and topic to Robin Cushionberry. You will receive a phone call during public comments. At this time, I'd like to invite everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So our first order of business is approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Colonel Geyer moves to approve the agenda, and Mel Campbell seconded. Any discussion?
No.
Hearing none, all those in favor of proceeding with the agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Middleton, aye.
That's 4-0. Okay, our first item on the agenda is public comments. And Ms. Cushionberry, I believe you indicated we do have some public comments.
Yes, ma'am. And I'm going to put you on speaker, and you have 3 minutes for public comments. You're on speaker. You can go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Everyone hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Chair, committee members. Thanks for giving me a chance to speak with you this evening. With the holidays upon us, I can't help but think about the joy the children should be experiencing in school and at home as we look forward to the celebration of the birth of Christ. And the timing of this Advent scripture could not be more perfect. The scripture reads, "For although you have hidden these things from the wise and learned, you have revealed them to the childlike." That's Luke chapter 10, verse 21b. Last week, I participated in the first book review committee for the school district. Thanks to Dr. Rodriguez, Dr. Stratus, and their staff for coordinating this event. I was the lone no vote last Thursday night. I reviewed the book Speak. I was told that it's supposed to be used in 6th to 8th grade ELA class. It depicts the rape of a 13-year-old girl. This would be graphic to even an 11-year-old. On December 1st at the meeting, I introduced myself, but no one from my committee responded. 4 teachers and myself. I'm the only non-district employee. It's a biased committee. One teacher bragged about using a book with rape depicted to a 6th grade class that was more sexually graphic than the book we reviewed. It was said to hear. I asked, there are no books that can be substituted on the rape and experience of a 13-year-old in this book, Speak? None of the teachers thought another book could be used. One teacher actually said, don't you want your children to learn what happens to girls when raped? And I responded that not in school. This review process is biased. As a lone no vote, it was a 3-to-1 vote that allowed Speak back into the libraries. And 1 vote supported it for grades 6 through 8 and 9 through 12. The subject matter in Speak did not possess educational suitability. I want to end with this scripture. This Advent scripture from Matthew chapter 18, verse 14. It reads, "In just the same way, it is not the will of your heavenly Father that one of these little ones be lost." Please, let children be children. We look to the light of the birth of our Christ coming in a few weeks. Let's please keep that in mind as we move forward. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Check the person.
Hello, this is Kevin. This is Robin. I'm calling you for public comments. I wasn't sure if that's what you wanted when you sent your email. Am I correct? Okay, hold on, please. I'll put you on speaker and you'll have 3 minutes.
Okay.
Go ahead and introduce yourself, sir.
Right.
Go ahead.
All right. My name is James Kevin Holmes. I am opposed to the banning of books in our public schools. The First Amendment of the United States Constitution does not just protect the right of free speech, it protects the right of our students to receive information in the form of books. There is a Supreme Court case, Board of Education versus BICO, decided in 1982 that made this perfectly clear. The banning of books without proper review constitutes prohibited prior restraint. I am just opposed to the banning of books in the name of protecting our children by a group of minority people who are advancing their political interests at the expense of our inherent constitutional right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so that concludes public comments. And we are moving on to the our agenda. And the first thing on our agenda is local board approved application. Dr. Janice?
So, good evening, this is Roland and board members. This evening, we do have a lot of materials we present to you. Our first is the local board approved applications from 2 separate schools. We also know them by the act. Present this evening, I have our director for secondary teaching and learning. This is Ms. Karen.
Recording.
And she'll be presenting this as well as the LBA list of material courses that we utilize this year. Mrs. McKinsey, please.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Stratus and board members. So IS regulation 49.
We're going to go to the presentation of the course. First,
Sorry.
thank you, Mrs. Cushionberry. Appreciate your advance.
I could have sent you as a PDF. I'm sorry.
The PowerPoint.
Yes.
Yes. So, sorry. Here.
As that's being pulled up, I'd like to bring to the attention of our committee membership that we have had a rather limited amount of local board approved courses coming forward. There's been a rather high level of scrutiny that the schools have to go through. So we recognize we had one course from Beaufort year prior for preempt for getting ready for advanced placement literature. We use the same type lens with which will be shared with you this evening. I did want to share that. You want to go ahead and just do what we have, that's something, that's okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
I think,
you want me to do that?
Yes. And,
Although we approved.
okay. Sure.
Okay.
What I've prepared in this is throughout the year, we keep a close look at those locally board approved classes that have been approved in years past and how are they being utilized by our individual schools. So I'm just going to let you know the yellow highlights are my notes, my annotation so that I can keep track of it. We do have a larger group under the language arts, and that makes sense. Our state currently provides us 10 courses at secondary level for ELA, whereas when you look at math, they're doing math at about 15 or 18 courses. So we want to give as many opportunities for ELA as we can for our students, so it makes sense. We're going to have a lot that fall under that, guys. The advanced writing course that is highlighted for you there, I gave you the code 3030 because the state has put forward a course in advanced composition, and a lot of students are now utilizing that. We do ask that even though this course is currently inactive, that it remain in place so that we have the opportunity to continue rich writing opportunities for our students as we move forward.
So just for points of clarification, if you see going across on the table,
Oh, I'm sorry.
thank you, if you can walk that.
I'll walk through that.
Yes.
Gives you the ACS code, the activity coding system, which is what the state codes the course as. And then our filter, how are we filtering that? By standards that it addresses. The name of the course is next. After that is the 8-digit code that we use in PowerSchool to code that section for our students. Then I have the active sessions of that course that are currently active at this moment. And then a breakdown for you by high school. So you can see what high schools are those courses actually being used at currently. That's not to say that they're not going to be used in second semester or they weren't used in the previous semester.
And to build this course prior to the state putting in an advanced composition course, this was a course that was piggybacked for Beaufort High. Quite a lot for a first semester for part of English 1. In order to the readiness of students for EOC. That was a model utilized up until this current year. Because then the EOC has moved to English 2, and they're now utilizing the state code.
Correct.
Can I ask a quick question?
Of course.
What's the difference between the CW and the CH in the course code?
One is a whole credit course and one is a half credit course.
Okay.
Supporting instructional strategies, the reason I have that one is we have a course listed as teacher assistant. That really was used initially by Bluffton High School to support their incoming students at ESOL at the time. We have since put a lot of things in place to support those students, so it kind of negates being used that way. However, we want to keep that in place because we do have students who are coming in who may not have had or may have had a limited formal education experience. So we want to leave that course, even though it's inactive, we want to leave that opportunity for high schools to read that if they need it.
It's English 1 and Richmond. Is that an addition to English 1?
Yes, sir, it is. That is an additional course. And that really provides those students who come in, need that little bit of extra help going into English 1. It provides them that active help in the single type course.
And the credit that is generated as an elective, not as recorded.
They still have to take English 1.
That sounds great. And that greater.
Even though it identifies in English 1, they may find time to place it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, they're
Yes.
taking it plainly as a non-departmental.
Yes, sir, as an elective course.
Figured because, and are we suggesting they pick it before English 1 or after English?
Typically, you're going to see them want to take it prior, but that doesn't mean necessarily only because English 2 is now our EOC course. They may be taking it after English 1 as soon as the needs may be identified. Yes, sir.
Okay.
On that second page, you'll see personal and professional skills 2. That course is supporting instructional strategies. There's also, if you look down, there is, and this goes to that half and whole credit. There is one that is being used, active code. There's 31 sessions of that currently. So they're just utilizing that course code right now for that one. That is the same thing with the supporting instructional activities, senior leadership. The code that's below that is a state code. The state now has a course that is offering with that code. Social studies, you'll see Afro-American history. That is offered through dual enrollment. I hate to make you flip back and forth, but if you look back on that first page, African American Studies is also listed under the ELA as an LBA. Depending on the certifications that are available within the school to provide that credit, you'll see them offering it either as social studies or ELA. And currently it's being offered as ELA rather than social studies. It is still being offered. And right now we have 3 sections of that going under ELA. So it shows it's a 0 there, but we want to hold it. It's inactive, but we want to hold that course because it may come a time when we have a teacher who's certified in social studies that we may be able to utilize at a regional section.
Yeah. I'm sure.
They're on the first page, Mr. Campbell.
I think it's here though.
It's 2 sections, but if you look, it's 2 different courses. One is a half credit, one's a whole, and the half is providing 1 section, the whole is providing 2.
And we confirm the certification today of the educator who is ELA. He is ELA.
World religion is offered through dual enrollment, and we currently do not have any. I'm watching that one to see whether or not if that becomes reactivated class. That's why I should highlight it.
Do you have any information where this was at?
The world religion, yes, or was it Wellbridge Early College High School, which they are increasing numbers with dual enrollment. So a lot of students are utilizing different electives because of their dual enrollment status. You look over on the next page, youth in government, that was, and it currently has a state code for a half credit, but we're seeing our sections in a whole credit. And if you know anything about our youth in government program, it is phenomenal. We are consistently winning some of those state competitions and placing very high. So that's something that teachers are really digging into that content year long with students. So we're really happy to see that.
You got 4 active sections.
Yes, we do. And you'll see, notice that those are Beaufort High, Bluffton High, and May River High currently. And I'll be real honest, I would love to see that expand.
Yeah, we've got
It's a great program. Health and physical education, weightlifting, there is a half credit course code from the state now, so I just added that on there. That's why that is there. But if you'll look down, weightlifting has not gone anywhere. We have plenty of sections of weightlifting still being offered as that whole credit for our students. Health and physical education. This is really a specific course code here. And this is specific for a student who has excessive needs or really an adapt, and almost more than that, because our physical education teachers are able to really adapt and personalize what they're doing within their classroom. This is for that really health specific student who can't do those things. While they have to have physical education, we really keep a course available for them that we can tailor to their specific needs. So that one is inactive right now, but we may need it in a future time. So I'm just watching that. See what
and to add that it is a significant amount of supplies that are kept
absolutely
right on the other side of the school. They just don't have it on this semester.
Thank you. And then the last 2 that are highlighted, I'm actually going to let Ms. Gilbert discuss those because they fall a little bit more under our CTE realm, and she is.
Yes. So the introduction to aviation was phased out several years ago because Battery Creek moved to a state approved pathway through the Southern Regional Education Board called SREB. And so it offers a cadre of 4 levels, fundamentals of aerospace technology, all the way to they work with drones that final year. And so there was not a need for the intro to aviation local board approved, because now with the 4 courses, it can count toward a completer, which then counts toward our career readiness. So that one will probably will make that inactive and take it off the offerings. And then the enterprise design, again, that was a local board approved. That was for requested prior superintendent several years ago. Again, it's the state has offered an additional course called entrepreneurship, which was ironically will be offering up for an honors request tonight. So teachers have taken advantage of, again, a state course that fits into several different pathways. So there was not a need for the enterprise design because it covers the same topics.
And that Chairman Robot completes the second of the board approval. Think we have any other additional?
So of these, if I have it correctly, are going to remove only two of them, two of the inactive ones. The others, there are reasons to keep them.
That is correct.
Okay. And it's the intro to aviation and enterprise design, which have been substituted by state courses, so we don't need to keep them.
Yes, ma'am.
So do we need, I know the board's required to accept or approve, I think is the
Yes,
word, our local board courses. So we need a motion at this time, or do you have more presentation to do on this?
That would be additional new ones to be added on. So I think it may be two separate motions, if I'm correct, because we're going to have a motion to approve the list with the sunset of two to go to inactive. And then upon the consideration of the additional LBA courses, which we'll add on to this.
Okay.
Yes.
So the ones that are already on the list have to be approved yearly. We approve.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So let's start with that. Do we have a motion to approve the?
Recommend approval for.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I move we would recommend approval of Beaufort County School District Local Board approved courses 2022, 2023, active and.
Thank you.
Motion to recommend to the full board, the local board approved courses active and inactive.
Correct. 22, 2023.
22.
So at this time.
Wait,
Yeah.
so we get to vote.
I do
Any-
apologize.
Any discussion?
Second.
Mr. Campbell. Okay, all those in favor of this motion to recommend to the full board the 2022-23 active and inactive local board approved courses, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Middleton, aye.
It's 4-0. All right, please proceed.
So at this time, Madam Chair, Mr. Mrs. McKenzie is going to bring forward the local board approved for your consideration for LBA courses. She'll start with the regulation and then present the two courses that we have added. Ms. McKenzie, please.
Thank you, Dr. Stratton. So administrative IS regulation 49 kind of breaks things down for us into three areas. The first one is locally designed core subject area courses. And these are used as graduation credit units, and they must be aligned with state academic standards and a particular subject area. The real difference is they have two forms of approval. Local board approval and state superintendent of education. Whereas a locally designed elective course must be approved by the local board. And there cannot be more than 2 units awarded. And a student may for release time classes in religious instruction. Locally designed career and technology education courses are funded with the state or federal CTE monies and must be approved by the South Carolina Department of Education's career and technology education. I'm going to go through just real quick some of this stuff, and then I'll turn it over to Ms. Gilbert. I'm going to go through hers about this work with you. Oh, okay. So you're good. Okay. Oh, that's right. You just have a lot of students. So it's all there. Okay, great. So we currently have 35 local board approved courses, which you just looked at. 13 of those support our English language and art standards. 5 support our social studies standards. 5 support health and physical education standards. 4 support our visual and performing arts. 1 supports math. one supports engineering technology, and one supports instructional activity, 6 support instructional activities and student leadership.
Mr. Again, these are active.
Yeah,
Yes.
yes.
That
So
is
if you go back to the prior page and you look at the criteria for item number,
Yes.
if you see
Yes.
the difference.
Yes.
Okay. These are the LBAs that are within our elective. If we do not have anything coming from for graduation purposes, that will go towards your core graduation,
We're dealing with only.
our electives.
So I just wanted to share a little bit about the process that we go through. Information is sent out with the state application to schools, and I tend to send that out the first week of October. It is a process for schools. That process includes them getting stakeholders from their community, their school community involved, and making a decision whether or not to fill that application. Applications are due to me by late November. And then they go to the review committee and we review each application. We do have a checklist that we go through and we provide them some feedback on that. But things that we're basically looking for fall under that state regulation 43234, which says it has to align to the standards. It has to somehow go along with one of the 4 subject areas. And if it's an honors class, it has to have that framework attached to it. Application review sheets, when they're returned, we typically, I'll be honest, they're not always returned with, yay, we're taking yours in front of the board for their approval. Sometimes they return back and say, hey, we really like the concept of this. Have you gotten enough parent input? Have you gotten enough student input? Have you really dug into what this course is going to look like within your school? So we send those back quite frequently. Courses are then approved by the review committee, and then we bring them to approval to our board in December.
What is the makeup of the committee that reviews these applications?
It really depends on the course. For example, if it's always the 2 of us because we deal with the secondary so consistently. If it is an ELA class, we would have a director historian with us. If it is a math class, we would have our director who oversees math with Flowers. But we're looking for that person who's kind of content related to that to go along with the secondary focus. We also have brought in other people, for example, science in, but we want to have several eyes and look at
Okay, so they're all educators?
it. It's all ISD staff.
Yeah.
All
So when it comes to the district, it's ISD staff. At the school site, they are required to have community and student input. It should be go through SIC. And I'm not sure if this application has the students vote that they did, or is that a prior one that we?
What they typically do, and most of them have this, and I kind of require it.
Yeah.
I want them to survey. I want them to survey families. I want them to survey students. And I really want to see that in the packet. One of the ones we have today, I'd be happy to make a copy. The packet that came in is about this thing. It took me quite some time just to go through it. And because they included letters from students wanting the course, letter from parents saying, this is why I want my child to have this course. There's a lot of those kind of things that are attached to their application.
And that application actually went back to come back to have additional. And then it doesn't come to us, come here until we've had our conversation. We go in detail with the checklist for this. Mackenzie has to show details. Where is this?
Go ahead.
I'm kind of surprised that honors courses are, we have some elected honors courses.
You will see that coming up at a high school level, yes. And there is rationale for that, especially when it comes to some of our higher performing areas in JROTC, for example, those higher left, right? Or when you're also looking at, and I'm maybe getting ahead of presentation, but when you're working yearbook, if you have worked at a high school, you will see, and that team who's putting that book together, yes. So you'll see more information coming forward regarding, so yes, there are elective courses that, if we take the frame that it's not just an elective, we recognize core courses for graduation purposes, as for the language. But it's not an elective, these are really, all courses should receive the same type of recognition, if that makes sense.
And from my perspective, it's in scrutiny before we put it in front of students. So that's why, even though it was a client application, I was like, I would like to see this as well. So, we will send it back until we feel like it's something that's worthy enough to bring in front of you, because then it goes in front of our students.
Mr. Campbell, has a question?
They're monitoring the disbursement of these courses. 13 English language arts standard. One, math.
Yes, sir. And that kind of got me too. I'm not gonna, I was like, wait, what? There's a good reason for that. The state puts forward a smaller number of of English courses than they do math. There's probability statistics, there's pre-cal, there's cal, there's all of these, probably
23 to 26.
there's so many math courses. It's really not that many ELA courses. So we're looking for other ways to provide ELA courses and supportive standards for our students. But yeah, I thought the same thing, Mr. Campbell was like, something's fishy about that. And science is the same way. We really don't have any science. And the reason why is because science from the state offers so many options under the activity coding manual, where it really doesn't.
Leadership, that's leadership program that with the ROTC program.
No, sir, that's, so ROTC, your state approved courses, we're just, in the next part, we'll talk about how we are presenting to add an honors option. No, they're already state approved.
What are they? Give me an example.
Of the student leadership courses.
Yeah.
One that we're actually going to discuss tonight is leadership readiness. So it's preparing students to become leaders in the community upon graduation. So those kind of models, of course, follow their tour status as being a leader school. That's one of the reasons why they have course.
That come from leader in these schools.
That's part of it, yes.
It's a large representation.
Ms. Middleton, did you have anything you'd like to ask at this point?
No, ma'am.
Okay, yeah, go ahead, Colonel Dyer.
Computer course. Computer science courses. We have.
So that's
Go ahead.
coming up, I like where you're thinking. It's I love it though, y'all are getting all the things that you're excited about as well.
Absolutely. So our applications that we're going to bring forward this evening, we actually are bringing forward 8 electives. 4 are English standards-based courses, yearbook 5 honors, yearbook 6 honors, yearbook 7 honors, and yearbook 8 honors. As you know, our yearbook program in Beaufort County won national recognition last year. Part of that is because of our award-winning photography program. Part of that is because of our journalism, because we are offering all of these rich ELA opportunities for our students. One of the things that went back on this application, just in terms of transparency, was what's this going to do for the students? And what is this going to offer? Yes, it's going to offer them that experience throughout their high school experience, because you can't start a yearbook and go in 2 years, and then as a junior and senior, you can't be involved. That's big, and I get that. What's it going to do for college and career readiness? So I got back a good bit from students and teachers and parents. Some of the ideas were, I'm really looking at the design program at college level, and this gives me the opportunity to have that experience and get my portfolio for. Graphic design. Some poor child wants to be an editor. And this is something that they enjoy doing. And project management was a big one that they pushed. So those are really the supporting reasons why. And being an honors course with this, and again, I will share it with you if you would like it, which are enormous. Some of the things that were put forward was the teacher has already developed a progression of skills and concepts that are going to be included in the course. There are things that she has done, for example, tying that directly back through to that ELA standard at the grade level. So junior age, senior age, composition. That was quite obviously impressive. Instructional support and student leadership courses. The request tonight is for approval on 4 of those. Leadership 9, which is life readiness. Leadership 10, which is career readiness. Leadership 11, which is college readiness. And leadership 12, which is leadership readiness. All of these are courses are being requested by Battery Creek High School. The teachers of any content area would be able to teach these. This is falls under the American Council of Education. The students will actually end up with 2 elective college credits as well. So that's kind of an exciting piece, but another exciting piece is any teacher can teach these courses. So we talked earlier about, this one's being held, but we're doing it under here. This is any teacher can teach this. So the viability of that continuing for that school and being a viable part of building leaders within their concept is really strong.
And we recognize that in both areas, it is 2 courses for junior, 2 courses for senior, subject to our board.
So the certification of the teacher doesn't matter, they can teach it, but there is a planned course of study or the standards that are being taught that are the same regardless of what the certification of the teacher.
Yes, Ms. Roma, and the key there is the course is very specific, so the teachers all have to undergo the training. And I'll be honest with you, kind of makes me happy because then you have those skills to push life readiness, college readiness, career readiness, even if you're not currently teaching that course. You can use that same verbiage with our students.
And the instructional support student leadership course is also highlighted in the state grant for Leader in Me.
True.
By their state representative who was here, I want to say that 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
For full training. So it would be unique for Beaufort, probably maybe one of the first in the state that's being supported by this grant as well.
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Yes,
Thank you, Dr. Stratus and your team. This question is for you all. How long is the teacher training for these courses? And when will they have this training?
We couldn't schedule the training yet, Ms. Middleton, because we don't have board approval. But once that training comes in, it is 2-week training, but it's over a 6-month period. So my understanding is they'll do 2 weeks of training and then wait and then do the next 2 weeks of training. But all teachers will be trained within the school.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
any other questions?
There are
They're
also,
electives.
it's a school-wide initiative, that's the principal Sarah. She's seeking to have, well, in another high school, exactly, yes. But they would be held to follow the same course design and in support of the syllabus that is approved. So they can't go create, right, they can't create,
NTBA once,
right, once approved.
Then you have Beaufort High School.
They are. But should you want to start that, you would have that option at another high school. Can we continue?
Okay, let's go.
Do you want to do a motion on the new LBAs, or do you want us to complete going through the presentations?
What do you think, guys?
Can't do an conference.
Yeah. I mean, let's try that and if we see, because the additional ones that are the honors courses, right?
No,
No?
well, yes, these will all be on it, so yes. You want to put into a motion?
Yeah, the leadership classes are honors as well.
No,
No,
the yearbook
yeah,
are,
the
the
yearbook
yearbook are, but the leadership.
That's why it's truly two different
Yeah.
things. So that's,
Okay.
we can move forward. I just want to make sure.
So what we have at the top, well, we do have some honors. They're the local board approved courses. These are new local board approved courses. So, and what we have here are also new local board approved courses.
No, they're honest frameworks.
Okay,
So,
all right, so it's different. So,
It is.
so we need a motion to approve to recommend approval to the full board of yes.
I move that we recommend to the full board approval of local board. Approve that.
I'll second.
Motion to recommend to the full board, the local board approved applications, correct? Got it. And afterwards,
Recommend- You left the word out.
motion to recommend to the full board
Approval.
approval, okay. Approval of the local board approved applications.
Right.
And William has his hand up.
Okay. Any discussion on this?
No, ma'am. Not for me, but Mr. Smith
Yeah.
has his hand up.
I just wanted to make sure that that's, Mr. Smith, is your question related to this motion that's on the table?
I believe I have my hand up. I believe that Mrs. Cushionberry did say that. So I believe it isn't. And my question is related to what is being said.
Okay, I just want to make sure I was going to call on you. I wanted to see if we should have our vote first. Go ahead. It's related to this motion.
I believe it is. My question is, in relation to this motion, is there any more wording that you can put in to be more detailed into this motion? Is my question. And to explain the hours.
Explain what?
The hours.
The hours?
The number of credits.
Yes.
I think that's included in the applications. And the applications will all be loaded on board docs. Like they say, whether they're half unit, full unit. Go ahead. Mhm.
Mr. Smith,
Yes, ma'am.
hi, good afternoon. So
Good
just for
afternoon.
a point of clarification, would it help in the motion to say, move to recommend to full board approval of local board approved application courses presented at the it's August, I'm into summer, I need the warm weather. December 6th academic committee meeting, would that narrow it a little more for clarification?
Yes, for clarification, that's what I was looking for. But I was just going to pull it off the consent agenda. That's why I was just going to be quiet about yes. But yes, that would help because these would be new units that we are approving for the board, and I just thought that would need to have a little more detail in it. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Are you good with that
That's fine.
recommendation? Would you say that again? As just the same,
I have a motion to recommend to the full board approval of the local board approved applications
as presented at the December 6th academic committee. Although I said August, I'm just thinking more. I've been cold.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, at this point, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Middleton, I.
that's 4-0. Okay.
Ms. Robine and board members, thank you so much for the opportunity to actually share some good news. I appreciate the feedback from this committee at our last meeting where we presented the first, what I call phase or wave of honors options for students enrolled in CTE and or JROTC courses. As a result of that, it's generated a lot more interest. We've had increased collaboration among our teachers and JROTC instructors. We included 2 virtual sessions to go over the components and how they work. And I just included on this slide, it just as a reminder, it's a great opportunity for advanced coursework for our students. They can take that practical application of knowledge and skills beyond the state standards. And it's an opportunity to transfer that knowledge and skills in preparation for several of our challenging occupations that are either current or emerging. Next slide, please. Let's go back one more. Okay. Just as a reminder, this is where these are state courses. They're in our coding activity manual. They've been utilized. They count toward graduation credits, for college career readiness. This is just taking that course code and it's based off of the South Carolina framework and the criteria that they look for or recommend. Then the student would, if they successfully complete that, they would have the honors weighted, which is a quality point added to their overall course code, and therefore it factors into their GPA, which can be a good thing. So in the templates, the teachers have provided descriptions. How's it aligned to the state standards? What are some key honors concepts? What are their expectations at the performance honor level? They will work toward starting a portfolio of pacing guides, lesson plans. We're starting a Google Docs for this, rubrics, grading practice that they'll be able to share, as well as any instructional materials. Again, as we know, this is teacher initiated, and because the South Carolina framework, they do ask that it comes in front of the board for your review and approval. Good feedback, for example, Mr. Campbell, when we talked about the JROTC honors, you were asking, I also think Mr. Earl Campbell was asking, how do we incorporate as they move to the earlier levels? What does that look like? So our instructors had some excellent conversations. So we bring forward to you tonight 23, if you break down the courses for JROTC, it's in 4 applications, and then 6 career and tech ed. Of the career and tech ed, I'm excited that entrepreneurship has been brought forward to ask for honors weighted. We have several teachers that have been advocating for this. It will be available to all high schools. All of our high schools wanted to participate with this, as well as to your point, Colonel Geyer, our CTE Computer Science Essentials. It will be available as an honors option per pending of this meeting for all high schools. And then I want to share with you Hilton Head Island High School and Well Branch Early College High School bringing forth their cybersecurity course that they're offering. As I want to point out just a few little components, it's already at a rigorous level, so we're excited they wanted to have this be honors. And then shout out to Mrs. Jennifer Calcorsi, the instructor at Beaufort Jasper ACE. She wanted to be a part of this with Dr. Lavecchio, and so she's done a fabulous job on presenting tonight emergency medical services levels 1, 2, and 3. And then, of course, with the JROTCs, I appreciate Mr. Ralph Latai. He'll be able to answer any questions. What we did was, if you recall, you previously through Colonel Foster approved level 7 and 8. We have 8 state course codes that are in the activity coding manual. We thought we'd start at the top and we'd work back. Well, through much great discussion and collaboration, we worked it out, and I think Lieutenant Colonel Thompson at Beaufort High School, I have to give him credit. he was able to lay it out in a format that all of us, Ralph and I, and the instructors could agree upon. So when you see levels 3 through 8, that will hit the little highlights. Now they'll have an option. Levels 1 and 2 counts toward physical education. So per the state, that cannot be honors. But starting in 3, if they feel like there's cadets that they're going to take toward that leadership path, then they'll have an opportunity for that weight. So I wanted to highlight a few components just to share the scope and the depth and breadth of this. For example, in the entrepreneurship, this is what the part of the framework says. They have to provide a real world example of how students engage in critical thinking. So this is the honors activity for entrepreneurship. I thought the teacher did an excellent job. Honor students will research and select a business opportunity using primary or secondary data sources. They'll perform a competitive analysis. They'll include direct and indirect competitors, industry trends. They'll prepare a SWOT analysis and include in a business plan. They'll determine a marketing mix. They'll design a physical layout to meet the needs if it's a physical building. They'll estimate cost of equipment, supplies, inventory. They'll prepare a management plan. Then the students will pitch, similar to a Shark Tank, their business idea to a panel of their peers and community members. So to me, that's an excellent way to engage the students, take it above and beyond the standard levels. Another one for the emergency medical services, Mrs. Cal Corsi, she included in her application to help build critical thinking around triage. She says that students, when they generally finish the EMS operations module where triage and mass casualty incidents have been taught, students will be paired into teams of 2. They'll simulate the setting of having a partner and working on an ambulance. We'll do a simulation of being dispatched to a mass casualty incident with multiple patients. They'll work in teams. They'll have to provide the appropriate documentation, and students must then determine the priority status of each individual patient, and then they have to do a reflection as to why they did that priority. One other one on the computer science essentials. I really like this one. That the teachers brought forward. After learning to apply the essential concepts and practice of computer science through an app creation, honor students will apply their skills to explore other innovations in computer science that's changing our world, such as self-driving vehicles and or image processing. Honor students will explore the similarities and differences in app creation. Finally, they will work with the team to create an app, whether for creative expression or to try to solve a problem that the team identifies within the local community. So I think, there are some excellent examples that the teachers have brought forward. And I know, Ralph, did you want to share, like for Beaufort, was the one that stood out to you? Or for the, like the Air Force?
One of the biggest things, and really, like Ms. Gilby said, one of the items you brought up, and I think the other Ms. Campbell, was what about the younger kids? Because keep in mind, back when it was AB schedule, they did it for an entire year. So there was only level 1 through 4, as we knew it. Like Mr. Smith, when he was at Beaufort High School and I was doing the JROTC, it was just 1 through 4. Once we made it a 4x4, the state added 5 through 8. Well, that takes up a lot of time for the kids if they're not truly dedicated. Sometimes based on scheduling, and it was really highlighted by what you brought up. Somebody may take it in 9th grade, may not take it again until the junior year, because they have to be able to fit it in. So with that, the overall concept, like being in the military, is they're forming leaders, whether it's a logistics officer, whether it's an administrative officer, command staff that participates and does training activities, leadership activities on the weekends or after school, the leaders of the marksmanship team, the drill and ceremony team. That's part of it, coupled with they also have to do a portfolio And when you look at it, one of them is, like Beaufort was on page 7 of 7. They have it proposed, they do the rough draft. There's a whole sequence, just like a military inspection there, so to speak. And it's set on what they have to achieve in order to do it. Now, keep in mind, the Colonel I can be in JARA TC1. I'm sorry, can be in JARA TC3. But I'm just there, not really, I don't have that leadership developed yet. He does. So we're gonna be in the same class, but he retasked as an honors, and I'll be regular.
So we're taking the same course and the same material too, or?
It's the base material is the same, but there are set requirements listed in the application that person with the honors has it, as well as different leadership
In
positions,
that class.
right? As well as supervising other members in that
within the
class.
class.
Okay, that's a part of this.
Yes, yes, sir.
Student, why,
Which is something I didn't brought up
how
before.
will that work in terms of the other students who are being supervised but not being on?
So they're supervised right now as we speak. But everybody's on the same, I mean, currently everybody has the same course code.
Hence why they were asking, could they be a part of this
Yeah.
honors option?
So what happens, the battalion leaders actually take on additional course responsibilities beyond what the whole class is being taught. They also take on a lot of work after school, the battalion leaders and the office people you're familiar with. And then there are kids who will work because they're recognizing, but the other part honors that I have to share, because this part is on that not honors, they're going to another area.
It's just,
And when we're seeing attrition because of that as well. So that's one,
we have a big vacuum. It's a funnel effect.
yes.
Well, that's part of my concern. Is that funnel effect. Are we creating this to help that funnel effect occur with ROTC, or to help the students who are ROTC want to actually go into leadership role?
Leadership and retention. Because once you're in,
and retention,
right,
but I mean, I'm sure you're envisioning that you're gonna have, with that honors component, you're gonna have most possible candidates in ROTC earlier.
Yes, sir.
Now, that's, yeah, I think you got to talk. Yeah. I'm concerned that you're not just creating another layer of academics.
We just want to give those students an opportunity, just as Colonel Foster had eloquently noted in the first reiteration, is there are a lot of great students who would love to take these, but if they're on the college path, they don't always do that.
I hope you understand my point. My point is, I don't want you to rewrite the ROTC program to create a pathway for students who generally probably would not even want to be in ROTC. I want you to rewrite it for the students who are committed to being in there first.
That's at the core of the request.
Mhm.
It-
And quite honestly, they used to teach it there at DC. Every student, then and now, has to want to be in ROTC to stay in ROTC. Because they have to have their haircut, they can't wear the nail polish.
That's my point. They want to be in there, and they agree to be in there, and this to them represents a pathway.
Yes, sir.
And now by grading that academic, it might also represent a pathway to that student who's thinking West Point but has no military background.
Like you're knocking on,
And I don't care about that. I want that too. But I want number one to be the first
He doesn't want it
Research
at
you're
the
doing.
expense of the others.
On the other students.
Right,
And
that's, I think,
I see what you're saying, Mr. Hanlon, and so the state actually for the framework requires that we offer both. So that both students, if they really don't want to do the extra
Mhm.
route, they still want to be a part of that, then we're required to offer both, options.
I just, yeah, I understand we don't follow the rules. I still understand that we have a plan for our outcome, our end game. You know, I told Colonel this a couple of years ago. I'm for building that capacity for ROTC. You know, because I think that's a, you know, that's an area that we can do better at in terms of putting students out. And it's a better student coming out of that program than going in. And it's a better student than most of the other students who don't go in that program. But I don't want it to be, yes.
that's what it
Thank
is.
It should be inclusionary.
Right.
Yeah.
We're required by state to maintain both courses. And the conducted battalion does require a larger group of children. Yeah, it does. It
And
really
quite
does.
frankly, as somebody that used to teach it, JROTC, you go by your school in your area and you watch them stand out there, probably has the most inclusion of any program.
Yes,
You
you're
know what I'm
right.
talking about, that?
Yes.
I mean, I used to fight, we fought at the district to get Letterman jackets for kids that were on drill team, because those were not the kids that were
Yeah.
They go-
going to the state championship in football. But that was their state championship in football.
And Ralph,
They have the best team in the school.
Absolutely. They were the best.
Ralph, that's a very good point, because it's the same thing in CTE.
Yes.
They take kids where they're at, whether they picked up a tool or they've been using the tool. It's the same. And moving forward, Ms. Robine, the reason we brought this as a second offer to you is because they really, as Colonel Foster noted, would really like to get this in for second semester. Then moving forward, we'll use the same process as Ms. McKenzie, where we will come to you once a year with a listing of any requests so that it's a seamless process.
So we expanded, this is an expansion of what we had approved earlier. Mr. Earl Campbell has a question. Thanks for your patience, Earl.
Thank you. Ms. Gilbert, has there been any discussion with ACE or either the Technical College of Low Country or USCB to have a program, doctor's assistant, physician assistant?
We, from our last conversation, talked with Mrs. Hardy, who put forth that first honors request, and she was very excited to add it, which she did to the template, and the other teachers who will be teaching that also agreed. As far as a formal course offering, it'll just be part of the honors portfolio that they will be able to pursue, and Well Branch will be included in that. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Colonel Geyer.
From the ROTC, I see the honors program attracting our more motivated folks because of the opportunity to have a higher grade point on their application. But more importantly, the leadership programs other programs that you have, they're theory programs. And here's application. And that application is I hope to attract people, because it takes some emotional energy to apply this. So that's all good. I would like to ask a question about the computer science.
Yes, sir.
I read the description, or heard the description, and it seems like it's mostly into HTML and into app development and so on, and that's all good. I see that. But the real power of computer science is basic programming.
So I'm glad you brought that up. So this Computer Science Essentials is the first course for traditional 9th, 10th grader. Any grade level can take it, but we're offering it as a 9th and 10th grade offering. It's the first of a 4-course sequence through Project Leadway, which is our curriculum provider. So it has the state standards offered through them. So you're correct. They're getting that foundational concepts in Computer Science Essentials. The second course is Computer Science Principles. That we've been offering that for a while, so it was already grandfathered in as an honors option. So then CSP takes it to that next level, and then Computer Science Cybersecurity, Project Lead the Way, is the third course, and then there's one more that they can take. They can either do the internship route, or they can take the AP course for computer. So each one, I'm glad you mentioned that. You're correct. It's
Hear that.
this is the fundamental one.
Right, what I'm concerned about is, Mr. Campbell mentioned, you have a lot of mathematics courses. The basic programming is mathematics. It's an application of mathematical principles. And that to me is when you go into technology, if you don't have that fundamental knowledge of the basic philosophy and language of math, you will not be successful. I mean, you can be you can design graphics and you can draw stuff and you can put graphic pieces and bells and whistles. But if you can't get down and to make the robot move from point A to point B, you're just kidding yourself. You're going to be nothing more than somebody that's going to sit in a thing and do little minor things. You're not going to be a Bill Gates. You're not going to be a Apple guy. It takes that mathematics.
So what are you suggesting?
Well, what I'm suggesting is that there needs to be a relationship with mathematics department.
Yeah, math controller.
So that the mathematics teacher, it's not just computer science off the side and math off the other side. They gotta come together.
And that's actually happening with some of the math through SRV within our NSAC schools and the Adobe grant schools. That is their intent in the math. What they do is go and do observations and do joint lesson planning. Now let's take that lesson planning to the application component. That team, they're an outside consultant that is building that capacity amongst educators. That type of work is happening so that it's not math, not in isolation. Because you're right on point that the application sounds issues.
Great, but I also thought that progression is a part of that. You know, the progression, see, that third tier, it's gonna be math, it's gonna be heavy math.
Heavy math.
And by then, they'll have some appreciation, hopefully, of the technology and how it. But
You struggle with the programming, can't work.
Right.
You gotta have.
Exactly, so hopefully, yeah, you know, the math will be there, or you're gonna find students, they're done after they've done with the whistling, but that's all it to real life. If you know, now is how this is happening, how this thing is really, you know, getting it done, and how do we protect it? The last level, how do we protect what we have? And that's a different level. And, you know, you gotta have math. Hopefully we'll have, you know, great students by then to take those courses there. I think, kind of look at it like, why don't we have them all eligible early to go into programming? So programming can be the choice, and they understand enough of the basic programming to get into the bells and whistles and other things.
Exactly.
But and that's, you know, that's your argument, but that's gonna require a lot more math teachers who understand programming.
Thank you.
And you may not have that luxury. That's
Fine. A good example of that, Mr. Campbell, is we have a wonderful he's been a experienced math teacher at Well Branch Early College High School, and we sent him to training to do the Project Leadway engineering. He'd be wonderful with these computer science. And he is doing a phenomenal job with the engineering because he has that good math background.
And they do robotics and coding.
So that's, that's,
Because what we don't want is we don't want a gamer to say, I can do this because I game.
right.
You gotta have the math.
Yeah.
You
And
have to move the joystick around. No.
And
that's a limited component for the computer world. You know, we want those cybersecurity experts more than the gamers.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
The way we're going.
Cybersecurity is going to be all about.
Yes.
We hope that's going to expand all of our high school at some point, that third level course. And again, speaking back to both of you, on down the road, I think, again, by engaging more of our middle school math science teachers along with that middle school CTE computer science courses will kind of help what you're talking about to build that.
So to build, I apologize.
I was gonna ask about your program, the grant-based program.
So the
Will grant and,
So the Novia grant
Yeah.
is training educators on the application of the computer science application from elementary up. MSAP grant is doing very similar as well.
Yeah.
So it's going to take time of building that capacity. That was the purpose of reaching out for these grants, is building the educators' capacity, but then providing those gateway opportunities for our children.
yeah, hopefully the vision down the road is that long-term, those are model students, that's gonna be our model. Every student, by the time he gets to the 6th, 7th grade, step the basic math and technological skill to go where he wants, anywhere in terms of the computer field. And the high school setup is there. But, right now, it's over here, it's over there, and the capacity isn't there. But we gotta think that infrastructure, we gotta think that way.
Mr. Campbell, I think also like our universities have to realize the application teaching educators in the area of both university. Right, we can't be in isolation without the schools of education not also picking up that practice, because that should be a standard. We did succeed, well, there should also be that language of mercy.
So the same process with the robot would be what we did the last one, where we have the signature pages that the principal and the teachers have signed for all the schools that will give to Mrs. Cushenberry and then go from there.
Mr. Smith, did you have a question?
Yes, I do. I would like to know, within this conversation, this is a good conversation, but just listening to some of the comments in terms of the math and different things of the different levels of courses. I know we've lost Starbase. What conversations have we had in terms of bringing that back? Or encouraging the base to bring back Starbase, because Starbase was a big factor that we've lost, and they're continuously using the county and using our services, and some of our hospitality services that we're building in the district is also being used by the military. How are we making that impactful into iterating them to and encouraging them to bring back Starbase?
Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Smith, that Starbase, the Department of Defense, actually, through the base commander at Marine Corps Air Station, that program has gone away.
Right. And so my point is that the program, going to me as a board member, Starbase going away is very problematic because of the fact of every time we go out in town, I hear freedom. As they say, I hear these loud planes and I hear a bunch of noise. And if we're bending to them and we're serving some of their we're serving their students and some of the people that they're bringing into town, then at some area, then we would need them to be able to bear service too, because we as citizens, we should have something that they should offer us some type of service that have us to attract to them as well. And I believe Star Base was one of those programs that was one of those things that attract to the people in Beaufort County, because they had offered Star Base. And my thing is, what are we doing to encourage them to keep Star Base and not get rid of it? Because I've heard and I've been in conversation with a lot of people who are very concerned about them getting rid of Star Base. And so so that's my question. You know, the same way how we give y'all some things in the district, the base should be able to offer us some things in return as well. Because we all know freedom isn't free.
That's a pretty good point, Mr. Smith. In all truth, we had some meetings with the base regarding Starbase. It was their choice to pull it, and maybe we could do a little more legwork and give you an update to that. If you want to give, we can get a little more conversation on that, sir.
I would definitely appreciate that. I think that was, and I think even, you know, board members should see the importance of that program and of the significance that it brought to this district and to the people of this county as well. So, I mean, I'm sure I don't know how I don't know how some other board members feel about it, but like I said, I've had people who've brought that to my attention and who have had that conversation, and so I would definitely like to know where that's going at and how can we be impactful of bringing that, because I know that we do an awful lot of giving them giving the government and giving those bases different things and breaks and hoops and hurdles so that they can stay in Beaufort County and even they're giving up land. So I'm definitely interested in having that conversation further with them. Thank you.
Okay, so now, it appears we need a motion to recommend to the full board the approval of honors level courses as presented at the December 6th academic committee. Is that the motion we need?
So moved.
Okay. Okay. Second by Mel Campbell. Any discussion?
No.
Okay. All those in approval of this motion to recommend to the full board the approval of honors level courses as presented today, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Middleton, aye.
And I'm this last one with the honors level courses. That's all these will be loaded into board docs, all these applications. I'm wondering if this last one, the honors level courses, could go in the consent agenda to be approved. And I mean, I guess we can make a motion and approve it. We're not going to go into each one of these at a meeting. That's so. What's the review of the board? Just have me.
Yeah.
In consent,
Yeah.
okay, this one will be placed in consent agenda.
Is this would be a
Yeah.
one by one.
And, you know, really people need to do their homework and read these frameworks.
So is that both the framework as well as the local board approved applications, or just, am I putting both of them in consent?
I would say yes. Angela, how do you feel about that?
Yes.
And they can always be pulled out, but I think there's so much material here and so much work.
Mr. Smith's hands up.
Mr. Smith?
Well, I'll go ahead and tell you now, I don't think that this should be put in consent, because this is a very serious, these are very serious decisions that we're making, and to add to the menu is very important. And we need to understand the menu that we're offering as board members. I think that each board member should have some time in the meeting, where we used to have 2 meetings or something, or 2 days to understand exactly and digest what we're putting in, not just reading it, but also us having a discussion about it and processing it. So I personally, with all that, what I just said, I don't see I'm not comfortable with putting it on the consent agenda, even though I'm not on that committee. But I'll just say that I don't think it's a good idea for it to put on the consent agenda because of what I've just stated. Thank you.
All right, moving forward, next on the agenda.
Madam Chair, this is just a quick update of information to share regarding graduation dates.
Yes.
Subject to construction that's going to be implemented at Battery Creek High School. I believe you have a copy of the calendar, Mrs. Cushenberry. Thank you so much for adding that. What we're looking at is Battery Creek to move them up earlier to June 2nd. That would still provide 180 days of instruction so that we're meeting the requirement of the law.
Do it.
It is going to be, I did a confirmation and it will be at their facility. They will be able to obtain additional portable bathrooms, but I confirmed that with Dr. Cox at the latter part of last week. It would be at the field area.
And would it be in the afternoon or evening so that staff, anybody who would have students, children graduating would be able to attend? I remember last year we had an issue, we had to move graduation to a Saturday
So this recommendation would be at night.
okay? Yeah.
And then what would it be? We would have Royal Ranch Early College. Now, again, I do want to prefix this conversation. This has not gone public. There's been waiting for conversation with academic committee as well as board. Royal Ranch Early College would then be moved up to the date that would have been Battery Creek, which is here as June 8th. And that principle is in agreement. Since those are not a student contact data, so you're going to they will be asking for earlier graduation on that date. I will confirm that with Dr. Cox. But I want to be able to get the approval of moving the days up first. So what graduation would look like, we would start on June 2nd in the evening. We would then move to June 5th in the evening. June 6th in the evening, because we recognize those are PD post-school days. Then our next graduation would be June 7th. Then we would go June 8th for Whale Ranch Early College. We would close graduation sequencing with Hilton Head Island. And I just wanted to provide that update.
So we need to, since it's a change in the calendar, we need to present this to the full board
Yes.
for
Yes.
approval.
Yes.
Okay. So do we need have a motion from this committee to recommend to the full board approval of the changes to the calendar to accommodate graduations? Something like that.
To accommodate construction.
Okay.
And I apologize, I probably wasn't able to join us, but he was going to speak with all the details of the impact on that campus.
So motion to recommend to the full board the changes to the calendar, to the graduation calendar to accommodate construction. We put graduation calendar,
Graduation dates.
graduation date, or
Graduation date is,
Yeah.
changes
Thank
to dates.
and Mrs. Cushenberry, I'll provide just a detail of the dates and times for the board on Thursday. That's it.
Yeah.
Two. Yes, yes, sir.
Go back in there, right, for order.
Well, it depends on what calendar we're in.
So,
You had to go there, right?
But do we make this motion?
So this is not for tonight's motion, this would be for, this
Right,
would go
like
on
you-
board business on Tuesday.
Right.
Okay, let me,
Yeah.
all right.
Thank you.
Okay.
And that concludes.
Okay. Future topics. This is the last academic committee of the year. I do have one future topic. I received a request and I said that I would bring it up as a future topic that, we, add to our agenda a review, just looking at our book review process and how it's gone. I do believe this is going to be on our December 13th board meeting.
So for the December 13th meeting, I was going to be presenting just the tally votes.
Okay,
Okay? So I have right now all the tallies in a sealed envelope. On the cover of each envelope has the respective tallies per book. I have copies made of that cover sheet. Unless the board has asked to open up additional detail.
so for this future topic, it's just a discussion of, the process. And again, the new committee will decide what the agenda items are, but that's just something I'm bringing forward.
Review the book review process.
Yeah, and now that's tied to an administrative regulation, so we could bring it forward and have conversation.
Any other future topics to
Well,
be
fire,
spoken about? Okay.
the IR summary.
Iris.
Yes, that's what I had for last
Right,
week.
right.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
I think it'll be a new committee.
Yeah,
That-
right.
That's probably.
that's
all we-
it. That's, yes, I agree. Okay. So I want to thank everyone who attended today. Dr. Stratos, as the outgoing chair of the academic committee, I really cannot express my thanks to you and your team. I think that when I look back, when I first became a member of the board, and I've been on the academic committee all years of my tenure on the board, our instructional division has moved mountains. We have really moved mountains. And sometimes I get a tear in my eye when I think where we could be if COVID hadn't interrupted us. But the fact that we're as far as we are now and COVID did interrupt us, I can only applaud it. And to my fellow board members, Colonel Dyer, Angela Middleton, and Mr. Mel Campbell, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for your service on this committee.
Thank you for yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for your leadership.
For us, it's from heart. It has been an intellectual challenge. But it has been one that has been embraced. You've been an absolute lady and leader. And we're going to miss both of you significantly. Let's say you're going to miss us.
Kathy is Kathy is volunteering to show up every month. He's gonna make sure she comes in. Ask what the topics are and she'll be here.
The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.